Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of LFC Transfer Room's Saturday night match preview. As Robert de Zerbi's prospective Liverpool audition is scheduled for 2 p.m. on Easter Sunday as Brighton and Hove Albion arrive at Anfield for a Premier League date with the Reds. Can the Reds put on an Easter revival after their dramatic FA Cup exit at the hands of their oldest rivals, Manchester United, or will they have had too many eggs over the festive period? To discuss the managerial position, De Zerbi, Brighton, and of course Liverpool FC, I'm joined tonight by Dean, Neil, and Presley. Presley, starting with you. How are you, boy? All right?
Yeah, excellent. I think there's a brilliant weekday of football tomorrow. I think 2 games could be brilliant, but wait and see.
If Jesus did Easter Sundays, he would definitely pick this Easter Sunday to do, wouldn't he, Dean? I think it's going to be, as Presley said, not just a 2 o'clock kickoff. I think that 4:30 kickoff is going to be phenomenal too.
Oh yeah, 100%. Premier League football's back. Thank God for that. Been waiting 2 weeks for this. Even though I am in work tomorrow, which is balmy, I've still got the game to look forward to after, and I can't wait.
Neil, and obviously, you know, we've had a bit of an international break. We're seeing some players coming back that we'll get onto in a moment. Do you think Liverpool are in a better place, you know, having that rest and getting onto the final sprint of the season now that that international break's done, and apart from maybe Robertson coming away unscathed?
Yeah, I think so. I really did feel like every game we played just prior to the last international break, we were riding our luck, and eventually our luck ran out. And to be honest, it was our own fault that we didn't finish with a win prior to the international break. So hopefully that result will give us a chance for a little bit of a reset. We don't need a major reset. Get 2 or 3 back and some others back also next week, and then kick on and hopefully have a successful end to the season.
Yeah, it's funny because normally I dread the international break. I'm like, oh man, like just get rid of it, get rid of all this pointless friendlies and the Nations Leagues. But actually, I was quite excited that Liverpool players get a rest and have a chance to come back, especially when the likes of Mo Salah dropped out, you know, of the Egyptian squad as well. And, you know, he had that well-earned rest. So hopefully they're going to come back all firing. Listen, let's just briefly talk because it is quite big news. We have seen updates in the past, I don't know, couple of days about the Liverpool managerial position. The red carpet has been ready and waiting for Xabi Alonso, I would say, ever since Jurgen Klopp dropped his resignation bombshell in January. But Liverpool have been informed by Xabi Alonso himself, as has everybody else. He intends to spend one more season with the Bundesligas. And Presley, how much of that was a hammer blow to be seeing that all over the socials?
I mean, of course it was. There's no denying that. However, I'd rather it be now than in 3 or 4 months' time when we actually do need him and a manager to fill that position. I think at least that we know now, it gives us time to prepare and look at the alternatives that are out there, especially given that obviously the likes of De Zerbi and Amorim are out there as well. It opens up the positions that we can go and talk to them rather than rushing and scrambling about. So I think now was better than never.
Yeah, and you've mentioned Ruben Amorim there. You know, is he Dean? He's certainly the bookies' favourite. Is he your favourite to take that Liverpool hot seat now? I mean, not that it really matters too much because we all thought that Xabi would be the man coming in, but it does look like it's primed a little bit now for Amorim, more so than what it was for Alonso.
Yeah, it seems that way. All the things we've been wanting in a Liverpool manager. Okay, we're now going to ask for another Klopp because there never will be another Klopp, but we always want them type of qualities in a Liverpool manager because he is the perfect Liverpool manager. And the person who's closest to that I've been pushing for the last few weeks that is Amorim, just because of his mild manner. He's very approachable, very fan-orientated, but very good tactically. Obviously, the other person is De Zerbi. Doesn't seem to have half those qualities, especially personality-wise. I know he's very exciting football, but very hit and miss on the pitch at the moment, and that doesn't really encourage Liverpool fans, and especially myself. And then, of course, Alonso was the main one we all wanted just for that fan connection. They would have ticked the most boxes. As Presley said, I'm glad it's just been quashed now and not in May. I kind of took another 2 months waiting to just go, yeah, I'm not coming now. That would have been even more heartbreaking than it was yesterday, the day before. So we're going to be focusing now on these next 10, 15 games, and rightfully so. We've got to enjoy this time we have left with Jurgen, but I think it's clear and obvious now, as long as Amorim wants the job, he's going to get that job. It doesn't really seem to be any other obvious candidate for me personally, anyway.
No, me either. And what I meant, Heliel, was the fact that everybody was informed, because he said it at a press conference. So pretty much everybody was informed, but you are right, Liverpool actually didn't receive or send any offer. And if rumours are led to be true, they were told actually quite early doors that he wasn't going to be going anywhere. Neil, another name, I suppose, that was raised is Julian Nagelsmann, who reached around about 5-1, I think, when I was looking at the betting market. So he came, I suppose, within touch and distance, but he himself also seems to have been ruled out of that too. Is that a good thing for Liverpool? Were you a little bit sad that he's not in the running? Because obviously that does leave less candidates, I suppose, to explore.
Yeah, I've never been a massive fan of his. I think he's so full of himself that it's not really my cup of tea for running Liverpool. That's not to say that he's not a decent manager, because I think he's proved that he has, and he has an exciting brand of football. Probably pulled the trigger a little bit early by getting rid of him. But yeah, not for me. I just don't like his personality. I wouldn't want him leading our club, because I get the opinion that, at the first sign of trouble that he would go speaking to media, etc., which we don't do. So yeah, Nagelsmann, not for me.
Yeah, I think the only drawback is, like we say, there's a few contentious looks over at the De Zerbi and the Thomas Frank camp, and I think, would Nagelsmann be an upgrade on them? I don't know. But either way, he seems to be out of the running. Now, let's talk about Roberto De Zerbi, because Dean touched on it slightly earlier. And he said it's not really a Liverpool manager. He's not really a Liverpool, someone who you'd want to see walk through the door, I suppose, Presley. Do you share those sentiments?
Yeah, he's not as he's charismatic in the sense, but he's just, for me, he's just not the nice open arms that Klopp has. And I know it's rare to get a manager that's like that, but he just doesn't have that same aura or feeling to him. And as I say, it's difficult to get, and it's difficult to get Klopp, but just the general aura around De Zerbi just isn't nice for me.
Dean, he's had a couple of shock results, really. Lots of goals conceded. His brand of football seems quite attacking. His brand of football seems to be quite open and expansive. However, they don't seem to have the defensive capabilities that attacking teams successfully play.
Yeah, you could argue that could come down to personnel as well as tactics as well. If Liverpool don't have the right players, Jurgen's tactics would fall apart. You'd have the same questions. So you could argue that. But just to touch previously what you're on about with his personality, he seems very ratty. And some people would be like, well, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because you want someone to question things. But it can cause more problems, and you just don't want that. You want someone to do that behind the scenes and not in the media, and not especially in front of the fans, because that, like you said before, that the aura goes over to the fans, and then it could get restlessness in the fan base itself. But like you said, with the tactics, he plays very exciting football. Both Guardiola and Klopp have praised his tactics, the way he plays. But the big thing that many people know about, he says he's an entertainer. He's there to entertain, not to win, and that's a big no-no. Straight off, you go off the shortlist straight away from that. If you just openly admit, I'm here to play good football and not to win things. Well, Liverpool's here to win things. That's what we are based on, is winning. So just from that alone, he's not going to get a big job thinking that way. And just to touch on this as well, there's a genuine possibility he's going to go into this summit with his stock's still quite high, not as high as last season, but he's got quite high stock. And Bayern Munich, Barcelona, and Liverpool jobs are all available. And there's a genuine likelihood that he's not going to get any of them.
Could very well go to Chelsea after their shocking performance today as well, if Poch is showing the door. Neil, is there anyone else then for you in that before we move on to the actual match preview in that managerial race, is there anybody there apart from Amorim who you would, welcome into Liverpool and actually be very excited about?
No, I don't think there's anyone off the top of my head. I think the reaction of late to Zerbi is a bit unfair, and I think it's more of a timing thing than everything, because it has the negativity towards him has coincided with Brighton not doing as well. And whilst I'm sure some of that is down to him, they've also lost big players to transfers, and they've had pretty horrendous injury transfers. And my view with him is, when Brighton were on song last season, they were as good as anybody to watch. We went there in January, I think it was, before the FA. We also went there in the FA Cup game, and they played us off the park with one-touch football. Yes, it wasn't a great Liverpool side, but I sat there that afternoon and I felt battered and beat up by his team. So he would be a gamble, a huge gamble. I have no doubt about that. I think if he came in and he got it right, the fans would adore him, because I think, he'll stand up for his team against referees. He's already made comments about referees, that he's not a massive fan of them. So I do think Amorim is a better fit. I think the negativity on Zerbi of late is a bit unfair, and I think it's more to do with, as I say, the situation with Brighton over the past few months. As to anyone else, really, there's no huge managers out there that you think, I want to go and get that person. I want to go and get that person. If Ancelotti was available, someone might think, oh, that's a nice person to come in and take over, because you'd be confident that he'd keep things. He'd just keep us at the top because he can manage big personalities and players. So yeah, I think Amorim probably stands out now. I like a lot of what I've seen with him. He seems very personable. He's about the team. He plays good football, and I think really importantly, he's good with the media as well. So yeah, no one else standing out. Thomas Frank did get a mention. I was listening on the radio this morning. But again, I think he's done really well at Brentford, and I think he's probably getting towards the point where he probably needs to move. But I think a move to us might be too big.
Well, we're talking about the Zerbi's, audition at Anfield tomorrow. It could very well be Frank's audition for Manchester United tonight, because they kick off in about 15 minutes' time, and we'll see how they go. Indeed. Just before we move on to the match preview, if you haven't done so already, please do make sure that you give the channel a like and a subscribe, and have your notifications turned on so you never miss out. It does go a long way towards the channel, and it does keep us on the air. So please do give us a like and a subscribe if you haven't already done so. So Liverpool are now unbeaten in 26 straight top flight games at Anfield since Leeds United's shock success 17 months ago. However, they are winless in their last 3 league fixtures against Brighton since beating them 2-1 in November 2019. So there's been quite a stagnant period where we've played Brighton at home in the league. And not winning. Presley, do you, before we go, I'm not talking score predictions, but how do you feel about tomorrow? It's always difficult after an international break.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel? What Liverpool are we going to see? Are we going to see a lackluster 45 minutes again, get in, Klopp gives them a rollicking, and then they turn it on? Or do you think they're straight off the gun?
I think from the comments that Van Dijk said earlier, I think they'll want to turn it on. This is our time now, crunch time, final 10 games. I think if Brighton continue the form that they're on, that they were before the international break, pretty confident. However, if they have one of the days where they show up, could be a bit more difficult. But we're playing at home. It's not a 12:30 straight after an international, which we're not the best.
Makes a change.
Yeah. So no, I think going into it, I'm definitely confident compared to if it was a 12:30.
Yeah, and those 12:30 ones, it always seems like you're brushing the cobwebs off for the first half hour as well. Dean, is there anything? Do you think is there going to be a hangover from that Manchester United game that, you know, I know it was energy draining. I think it was more draining emotionally, seeing the quadruple go, especially to the, you know, biggest rivals that Liverpool have ever had in their history, maybe perhaps on par with Everton. Are they going to want to come straight out, flying out of the traps, do you think?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. One, you know, it helps that we've had that extra time, that extra day or so from the lads coming back from the international break to settle in. This is the time now. These are the games you want to play. The last 10 games going in to win. There's a genuine chance to win the Premier League. It's all we ever want. It's going to be a tough one. It's not going to be easy. They went into the international break. We dipped towards the international break, and Brighton have been poor recently. They've been leaking goals left, right, and centre, but we have been a bit hit and miss ourselves. I just hope we've recovered mentally and physically over this international break. You could tell, like I said before, at the end of that United game, we looked on the floor. They were knackered. It helps that we have a couple of lads coming back. Gravenberch and Jones should be back for this game properly. I know Gravenberch didn't even come on against United, which really baffled me, but it could have been a fitness thing. There will be goals, as we can easily predict. You can put your house on it. There's going to be a lot of goals in this game. Don't be surprised if it's something like a 4-2, 5-3. It could be a balmy one. But I expect it to come out flying from the traps just because the emotion's going to be there now. This is the final leg, the final part of the season. There's nothing else. It's do or die. We have to win every game. Simple as that in my eyes. And I think the players know that. But now there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and I think that helps us a lot. I know the lads always go on about it's the next game. We always think about the next game. Of course we do. But we've got maximum 15 games left in 2 months. We'll just go for it. And I think we will. I think we'll just go hell for leather. And I expect Liverpool to wrap this game up by 60th minute mark. I know it's probably going to bite me on the arse now I've said that. But I'd like to think we will.
Yeah, it'd be ideal if we could, because we do like to leave it late. Neil, we're talking about Zerbi. Actually, he has quite a decent record against Liverpool. He's unbeaten against Liverpool in all 4 of his games. He's drawn 2 and won 2, including a 3-3 draw at Anfield in his first game in charge. Do you think that Brighton carry the threat that we saw last season? Do you think that the international break actually favoured Brighton perhaps a little bit as well? And I know that they're missing players that we'll get onto in a moment, but you know, do you think that we're talking about Liverpool coming out fast? Can you see Brighton doing that too?
I think it's very difficult to know what to expect from them because they are such an erratic team. I'd like to think that the absentees that they've got means that, you know, we're not going to see them come out all guns blazing, popping the ball around all over the place and getting in behind us. So I'm not sure. I know that Gilmour got injured during the international break. I think he's been quite a big player for them. I think they're going to miss him. And with some of the others that are still missing, as I say, I'm just hopeful that they don't come out as well as they can do. Because as you say, the last 4 games we've struggled. The 3-3, I think that was a Trossard hat trick, wasn't it? Even that was an uncomfortable game at Anfield, and that's before we look at the games at their place. So, do I think it suited them more than us, the international break? No, because I do think that we'll have a bit of a charge for a reset and being at home. I think we should be confident to go into the game and win it.
Yeah, talking about the players who they have unavailable, Jack Hinshelwood, Solly March and Mitoma are all out. Milner and João Pedro may play. It's not completely confirmed. I don't think that they're going to be written off, but it does look like it's likely. And same as Gilmour returns from suspension as well. So, you know, they might have some players.
Enciso's the other one, I think, who's also been ruled out. So I think he had to come back, but he's also out. So
probably scored probably scored the goal of the season against Chelsea. Was never seen again.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's again equally as good news for Liverpool. But you know, speaking about the Liverpool side, Andy Robertson will need to be assessed. I don't think we'll be seeing him start tomorrow, even if he does, you know, make the squad. He obviously picked up an ankle injury. Fortunately, it wasn't as serious as first feared. But Presley, I mean, Robbo's had a bit of a tough season, if we're honest. He seems to come back, play well, have a dip, get injured. Come back, play well, have a dip, get injured. Thank goodness for Joe Gomez, really, and Kostas Tsimikas, because when he has come in, he has done very well. But then obviously he got injured too. So yeah, it's a tricky one. And Helio is just saying that João Pedro is confirmed to be out tomorrow. So with Robertson and that left back position, what are we doing there tomorrow, do you think?
I think it'll be Gomez. I think he's, to me, the outstander. He's had a few minutes over the international breaks. It's not like he's coming in completely raw, completely unmatched fit. He's got a bit of minutes behind him. He's got, to me, the more balanced package than Tsimikas. And yeah, I just think he'd be a bit more solid against Brighton, especially if they do attack us and do show up.
I think as well, it's quite important to note that, you know, Gomez is very good defensively, and Brighton do attack with pace. So, you know, I think maybe perhaps João Pedro is a massive blessing, but I think even the likes of like Solly, March and Matoma not being in, they're deadly attacking players. Matoma not so potent this season, but he certainly has shown glimpses of his, you know, season beforehand. In the midfield, Alexis McAllister is obviously going to welcome back some of his former Brighton teammates after moving from, you know, the south coast up to the north. He's got 2 goals and 3 assists in his last 4 league games, and he's set the world on fire, I think, you know, the past 10 games that he's played in. Dean, that midfield, does it pick itself, do you think, nowadays?
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Let's be honest. There's always that question of when Jones is back 100% fit, do you start Maka back in the 6? But I think McAllister's shown so much now why we've signed him to play on that left, well, whether it's the left or the right side of the 8s. Endo's been fantastic in the 6 recently. Yeah, I think it's simple as long as they're 100% fit, it's Endo, Maka, and Szoboszlai. Obviously, the question marks will come up when the guys are 100% fit. But at the moment, that's probably our strongest midfield. So most in-form midfield. As you mentioned, McAllister's actually getting involved in the goals and the assists now. I think he'd be crucial in this game, spotting through balls up for Nunez. Brighton concede a lot of chances. They're the second worst in the league conceding chances, or expected goals conceded, or something like along those lines. They are really poor at. So I think he could be a key element in this game. Yes, okay, they're going to know about him. He was the former player, but he's been fantastic these last few games. He was one of the shining lights again against United. He was good in the international break for Argentina, and I back him to carry it on against Brighton.
Yeah, you mentioned, like, obviously he was playing a lot deeper. He only had 1 goal and 1 assist in his first 19 appearances for Liverpool this season. So playing in that 8 role, in that transition role, like he's certainly obviously his best role. He did very well in the 6, I thought, but that's certainly his best role. And Endo looks like an absolute rock, Neil. You know, we've said several times it's a shame he wasn't 5 years younger, because with Endo at that 6th position for the next 5 years, I think it would make that position his own, like Fabinho once did. When Jones does come back, obviously it's better for Liverpool to have all of these options, especially towards the back end of the season. Jones had a really good time of it. Elliott's had a really good time as well, and you know, Liverpool's midfield has completely been regenerated. We got Badge Tetic to come back as well, so the midfield looks like it's in a fairly good position, wouldn't you say?
I would do, yeah. I think, you know, that was the area that was most criticised last season, and probably rightfully so, because, you know, we did lack legs in that area. Now, whoever plays, we look like we've got a proper midfield, and I think in some ways it's probably, there's been a lot of criticism of Cody Gakpo lately, but him last year was a key player for us. And when we did improve last season, some of it was to do with the fact that he dropped in and supported the midfield. I think now we've got a proper midfield there now. The space is actually a lot more crowded, which makes it his role when he plays centrally a lot more difficult. So I do think we've done a brilliant job in replenishing the midfield. I think Endo, it was a strange one because he started slowly, didn't didn't look up to the pace of the game, and then all of a sudden it clicked, and he's been outstanding in more or less every game since. McAllister, since the turn of the year, I think has come on, and I think he's just been sublime, and probably been our best player over the last few weeks, along with Virgil. The one Szoboszlai is the one that I'm. If I'm looking at Curtis Jones coming back, and I think we are a better team with Curtis Jones in it. Szoboszlai, I think, is the one, if it was, down to me, that would possibly be vulnerable, because I don't think we've seen the same Dom Szoboszlai that we saw in the opening 10 games since about October, November time. I know he's been injured and he's missed a lot of games as well. But I always feel that he can do, I think he's got the ability to go grab a game by the scruff of the neck. And I don't think we've seen enough of it. So, but it's good. We've got options. Harvey Elliott's obviously come in. He's done well, and he's moved around. He's played in midfield, played on the right. He's done well. Gravenberch is back, and as you say, Bajcetic is due back as well. So, yeah, I think the midfield, if you go back a year, would have bitten everybody's hands off to have the options that we've got when they're all fit. The one slightly disappointing thing is obviously being Thiago. Because I think he would have really excelled in with legs around him in that midfield.
Yeah, it looks like a season done after a 5-minute cameo. Poor man, because I think he's technically one of the best players in the Premier League. Right, quiz time then. We are going to have time to do one of, or two, let's say two. Let's aim for two, and then if we get more done, it's bonuses for everybody else. I'll commit right now to 2 rounds of the quiz. The first one should be no shock to you all. Is one of my most favourite ones, because I love goals. Who doesn't love goals in football? So what I'm looking for is the top 5 Liverpool players with the most goals against Brighton. Okay, I'm going to give you 1 minute. The top 5 Liverpool players with the most goals against Brighton, and your time has started. For everybody else into the chat, please do not put your answers, because everyone can see the chat. So Neil, Dean, and Presley can all see in the chat, and they'll steal your answers. All right, you get 1 point for each correct, and the one with the most gets 3 points. Whoever comes second gets 2 points, and whoever comes third gets 1 point. Okay, afterwards, obviously, please do feel free to put in the chat when I say so, but please don't do it before, because they'll all cheat. All right, they have no shame, these boys. They'll all cheat and take your answers. That's 40 seconds gone. Top 5 Liverpool players with the most goals. You can write down as many as you like. Okay, but obviously 5 of them have to be correct. It's a good one, actually. It's a mixture of the past and present. And I bet you won't get one of them either with 4 goals. Okay, that is uno minuto. So, Presley, how many players have you got written down?
I can't think. I've blanked.
How many have you got written down?
Bottled it. I've got 4.
You got 4. Neil, how many have you got?
I've written 5, but there's a couple of long shots in there based on what you just said.
All right. Yeah, okay. I like the pun with the goals and the long shots. Presley, how many did you say you had? Sorry.
Oh, 2. I've blanked.
2. That's all right. That's fine, mate. That's fine. That's all right. It's quite a tricky one.
Oh, no, 3.
Right.
3.
Right. Take us away then, Neil. And obviously, Dean and Presley, if you get any of these, give yourself a tick as well.
Ian Rush.
Correct, with 5.
Mohamed Salah.
He is obviously top, because that's what the Egyptian king does. He just breaks records. He's got 8 goals against Brighton.
Sadio Mane.
Not on the list.
Do you want my other couple?
Yep.
Kenny Dalglish.
Yeah, he's second on the list. He's got 6 goals in 10 appearances.
So have I named the one that you didn't think we'd get?
Nope.
Okay, I'm going to guess Terry McDermott.
Yeah. No, you got 3.
Okay.
Dean, any advances on those?
I had Salah. I put down Firmino.
Firmino's there. He's fifth with 4 goals in 10 appearances.
Well, that's automatically ruled out the other one I put down because he only scored a couple, just because I don't know how many times we played Brighton. I put Gerrard because he scored twice in the FA Cup against him.
Yeah, he's not on the list, not in that top 5.
No, and the other one was Mane, so that was already ruled out.
Presley?
I had Salah, Firmino, and Mane.
Okay, yeah. Well, Salah and Firmino are in there. The one that you were looking for, so we had Salah, Dalglish, and Rush, and Firmino, and also with 4 goals is someone called Own Goals has made the list as well. So Own Goals made the list. So there are top 5 players with the most goals. Mohamed Salah, obviously topping the list, which segues be lovely into talk about the Egyptian king, because Mohamed Salah has 20 goals and 5 assists in his last 19 Premier League starts at Anfield. Considering he's been out, for quite a long time this season, if I'm honest, we've not really seen him since the new year, have we? Apart from the Manchester United game, because he came back, got injured. He was obviously injured during AFCON as well. So we haven't really seen him, I don't think, in this calendar year. So for him to still, be pretty high up in the goal scoring charts, and also to have 20 goals and 5 assists in his last 19 Premier League starts at Anfield, Presley, he looks phenomenal. My only worry and concern is obviously it's contract time again, and his contract is expiring in a couple of years. And it's what we do with Mo Salah, and it's what we do with Trent Alexander-Arnold. And this is the complication of, having to wait for a managerial appointment, because if it doesn't come until the summer, if Amorim is still going for the title, let's say it's him, with Sporting, he's not going to let anything, get in the way of that. And it does open the door a little bit for the Trents and the Salahs to maybe walk out of thinking he can take a fee now, or they might leave on a free, the next year.
I think it's scary. I think, the class that they're players you want to stay at the club forever. I'd be heartbroken to see Trent leave. I think he's one of those players where you'd think he's a one club player. He'd never move. But, if Real Madrid comes knocking on the door, you never know. I think Salah, it could happen sometime down the line, especially with Saudi. And again, if a top club needs a player, high goal scorer, who are you going to look to? He's got a year and a half left. And I think the Klopp leaving and thing has got to be perfect. If we do not get it perfect and a position that makes the players feel confident, we could be in for a bit of an issue. And going back to the thing that if we scramble around, we haven't got the options, we're trying to find a manager, it isn't necessarily going to look good to the players. So I think things have got to be right and look confident, and the players have to feel content with where they are.
Yeah, and it's and that's where it's really tricky now. Any manager worth their salt would obviously want to keep the likes of Mo Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold. So hopefully Michael Edwards and the powers that be at Liverpool are working behind the scenes on those contracts and just waiting for the green light for the manager just to say, yes, of course I want to keep him, or them, of course I would. And hopefully then they'll just whack that on the table and we're good to go. Dean, another conversation about the front line revolves around Darwin Nunez, who has really hit form, I would say, this season, as most of us expected him to do for anyone who followed his career at Almeria and then Benfica. It does take a year to settle in. However, this season, he's been absolutely phenomenal. He's got 10 goals in the league. He's got 3 in the Cup. He's got 5 in the League Cup. And obviously in the Europa League, he's got another 5 as well. So a total of 17 goals this season. That's not even including assists. All of last season, he managed 15, in the same amount of games. So he's already surpassed that. It looks like he's going to hit at least 20 goals plus, I don't know, another 15 perhaps assists. So you're looking at 35 goal and assist contributions over that period. How impressed have you been with the Uruguayan?
He's took me by surprise. I'm not going to lie. The pressure was on, and he's simple fact, he stepped up. I think what's really helped him last season, the pressure was on him. He had to be the new main man. How much money we spent on him, the pressure was on him to come in and hit the ground running. At the same time, Holland was signed by City. Instant comparison was made. by neutral fans alike. But this season, like I said, he's had this settling period. He knows the team. He's got an actual midfield behind him, which always helps. And like I say, he's just been phenomenal. He's not just running around anymore, just trying to cause problems. He knows what to do, making key runs, whether it's not for himself, it's for somebody else. So he's really developed systematically as well. And when you mentioned about his goals and assists, who's the other player that's key to that? And it's Salah. As much as we did really well when Salah hasn't been with us over AFCON, when he was out injured, Darwin and Salah were absolutely phenomenal when they both were on the pitch. The link up, the chemistry they had together has been really, really impressive, especially the first half of the season. So I think if that can click back into gear again for these last 10 to 15 games in all competitions, it could really, really suit us down to the ground. But yeah, there is going to be a small question mark over in the summer, not because of his ability, nothing to do with that. And I don't want him gone because he's unique because the way he plays, the chaos he causes. But I know I don't want to look too far ahead because we've got a massive part of the season coming up. But if it is going to be Amorim in the summer, his strikers are expected to work very well in tight spaces and to be surrounded to bring other players into play. Nunez obviously can do that, and I back him to adapt to that type of role, but he loves to run into space. He's very pacey, isn't he? He likes to run in behind, drift from out to in. So that's going to be a change to his game. Like I say, I do back him to change and to adapt, but there is going to be a significant change to his game. But in regards to the rest of the season, I said at the start of the season to a few people, to a few of my friends, 25 goals guaranteed he'll score in all competitions. And he's getting there. And I hope so, because I've got 20 quid on it as well. But still, I do back him.
I was not as bold as you, but I also did back it with a friend and said he would get 20 goals across all competitions this season. Bearing in mind he had 15 last season, I thought that was printing money. So I'm with you all the way. 3 for me and 8 for you to go. And we talk about his first season at Benfica. He played 44 games in total and scored 14 goals. He actually played 3 games less in his second season, 41 appearances he made, and he scored 34 goals. So, you know, I can't wait to see what his third season's going to be for Liverpool, because if he's getting better and better, then those numbers are just going to rocket. Neil, let's talk about that left side then, because I think Diaz has had a very good season since he came back from all of the turmoil around his family and the injury, obviously, that he sustained. I think that he's coming and made that left side his own. However, there is one Diogo Jota waiting in the wings. And does that mean a Jota comes into the centre and it pushes Nunez out to the left? Because you certainly can't drop Darwin Nunez. What is it that you do with Diaz? Because, you know, he's a player who's made it, or his father has made it known that, you know, he wouldn't say no, let's say, to a move to the Spanish giants Barcelona. So I can't see him being too happy to be sitting on the bench. Now, he's still going to get lots of games because he can play on the right. He can play through the middle, not as well, but he can certainly play on the left as well. But, you know, what are we doing with that left-hand side, especially since Gakpo said that he's actually prefers to be more of a winger than a forward as well?
So if we work backwards then. So Gakpo, I watched him for the Netherlands against Scotland, and he was much better on the left. And I'm beginning to think, as I say, with a proper midfield in the team, that might be the best role for him. But he probably at the moment isn't the starter. Diaz, I think, since he obviously had his personal problems, I think he's got better and he's got stronger. And I think a lot of the work that he does is underrated. Quite often, his work rate's phenomenal. He'll carry the ball 50, 60 yards and take the pressure off the defence. But then he might, where he's probably struggled is in the final third in terms of, you know, finding that final pass or getting on the end of something. His goal scoring record's not quite as strong as the others. I love Diogo Jota, and I think he's got so much menace about him. I'd always try and find a spot in the team for him, but I don't think at the moment that would be at the expense of moving Darwin out the middle. I think we've come so far with him that I think we now say, look, this guy's our number 9 and he's going to play through the middle. Jota can deputise for him through the middle, but can also play from the left-hand side. I think we're in the position at the moment where they're all going to get games, and we're going to need them all. And while Salah and Nunez were probably automatic choices, there's a conversation probably between Jota and Diaz on the left to have if it come to a Europa League final as to who you would start. But I'd use Jota centrally to rest Nunez, but if I wanted to get them both in the team, it would be with Jota from the left.
Yeah, I agree. It's so good that we do have so many versatile options, and that front line for Liverpool is so potent and it is so deadly, and hopefully they'll bag a few tomorrow. Second round of the quiz then. Excuse me. Get your pens and papers out for this one, or your phones, or something to type on, because this is sadly Jurgen Klopp's last outing against Brighton as he is finishing up his farewell tour. And what I would like, am I going to be harsh? Yeah. I'll tell you what. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 on Saturday, the 2nd of December, 2017, Jurgen Klopp played against Brighton in his first league match. Okay, so quite important to know the date, December 2017. All right, it was a 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday, which is quite rare for Liverpool, but that's what happened. And there were 18 players. Okay, 18 players in the squad that day. You need to name as many of them as possible. So going all the way back to 2017. You are going to have 90 seconds. Time starts now. Just to repeat for everyone else at home, please don't press your answers into the chat, because otherwise they'll just copy it and you'll probably have them right and these won't. And then you've given them a point, which I don't want. So 18 players, okay, starting 11 plus 7 substitutes. Obviously, we were in the time of only actually making 3 substitutes there, but I will still make sure that we have all 18. Okay, now it's going back quite a while. Okay, 2017. There are 2 names there, 3 names that were with the club who were in the starting 11 that day and are still with us now. Okay, so there's a little bit of a hint for you of 20 seconds left. Okay, scribble down as many ideas as you can, okay, and then pick your 18 if you have it. Okay, time is up. So, Presley, how many names have you got? Not how many correct, how many names?
About 10, 12. Yeah.
Okay, good. Dean?
13.
13. And Neil?
17.
Okay, right. Same rules apply then. Neil, you're going to go first because you have the most. Doesn't mean you've got the most right, but Presley and Dean, please give yourself a tick if you get any of these correct. Neil, read them out one at a time then, please, and I'll just say yes or no to speed things up.
Okay, Karius.
Substitute goalkeeper, yes.
Mignolet.
Yes, starting goalkeeper.
Klein.
No.
Trent.
Yeah.
Sacco.
Nope.
Gomez.
Nope. Must have been injured.
Lovren.
Yeah, starting centre-back.
Klavan.
He was on the bench.
Emre Can.
Yeah, Emre Can did play that day and also scored that day.
Jordan Henderson.
Captain Hendo, of course.
James Milner.
James Milner in that midfield, yeah.
Alberto Moreno.
Not in the squad.
Andy Robertson.
Yeah, starting left back.
Daniel Sturridge.
Yeah, was on the bench.
Roberto Firmino.
Yeah, Firmino's there. Scored 2 that day. That goes towards his 4.
Sadio Mane.
Yeah, on the bench. And didn't even come
Mohamed
on.
Salah.
Yeah, and he came off for another player. I nearly gave the name away, but actually Salah did not score in that game. And bearing in mind 5 goals went in, Salah didn't score. He did assist one, but no goals for him. Right. So what was your total score?
Sorry, did you say
didn't
Lallana and Sturridge were yeses? Did I not?
Sturridge was, yeah. No, you didn't say Lallana, and he was a no anyway.
Well, I've got. Okay, fine. So I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
14, good score. Dean, any more to add?
Majority of them were on my list as well. The only other ones, did you mention Lovren?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Origi?
No Origi.
I didn't have him.
Coutinho. You mentioned Coutinho.
No, he didn't, and he scored. He scored that amazing free kick, if you remember, about 40 yards out. Yeah, he scored on that day. So yes, Coutinho.
Matip?
Nope.
No. The only other one is an outside shot I had was Woodburn, because that was the season he was pushing through.
Yeah, good shout, but not in there.
No, that's it.
Okay, Presley.
So 11, but I've got 2, and it was Wijnaldum.
Good shout. Well done. He must have played. I think Wijnaldum must have played centre back that day, because there's not another centre back on this team sheet apart from Lovren. Yeah.
And then the only other one, this was an absolute wild chart, was like Marco Grujic.
Yeah, he was on the subs. Grujic was on the substitutes bench. The only ones you were missing was Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who came on for Mo Salah, and the scorer against Everton today, Dom Solanke, who actually came on for Roberto Firmino in the 88th minute. But apart from that, guys, you got everyone else. The only thing that would have stumped me, I think, is who would have played that centre back position. But as we said, I think it must have been Genie there with Dejan, because Robert and Trent.
No, I remember it was a back 3, and they did something specific for that game.
Was that Chan, Genie?
Yeah, I would say Chan.
Probably. I would think Chan would be the other one.
Yeah. And out of the 5 goal scorers, Chan, Firmino, Coutinho, and that 4th goal scorer, own goal, Lewis Dunk, popping up. Hammered them. I'll take a 5-1 tomorrow. Glenn Murray penalty on the 51st minute grabbed it for Brighton. So as we wind down, and I'm sure we all want to go and see Brentford batter Manchester United. It is currently 0-0 at the moment. Had a quick look. No shots on goal, so we're not really missing too much, lads, if I'm honest. Score predictions for tomorrow. We're going to start with you, Neil, first. Score predictions for tomorrow.
So I'm going to be positive, and I'm going to. We owe Brighton 1, so I'm going to go Liverpool 4, Brighton 1.
Probably a very realistic scoreline considering the way that Brighton and Zerbi play. Dean?
I'm going very similar. I'm going to say 4-2. I think Zerbi's going to throw everything out at it just to say I'm here for the job, but hopefully we can send him packing by saying no, sod off. It's 4-2 for me.
And Presley?
3-1.
Nice. I think you all sound quite confident, but you are following the form of Liverpool do not keep clean sheets. I don't think they've kept one in their past 11. Alisson, Becker coming back soon, though, so maybe the clean sheets might appear, although I do have to say Queven Kelleher has been absolutely phenomenal in my eyes, deputising in for Alisson Becker. So that was our match preview show. Thank you so much to Neil, to Dean and to Presley, and thank you all for you guys for joining us as well. Hopefully the Reds do give the Seagulls a bit of a kick in tomorrow, and I do tend to agree with Dean. Hopefully send Zerbi in his audition packing. And contentious as it is, because I'm sure we'll all go run into him as if Amorim says no. But yeah, at the moment, not quite done enough for me based on the credentials of this season. Any final words, lads?
Up the Reds. Let's do this. Let's finish the season. Jurgen's reign on the bang. Let's just box this title off. I know it's going to be right to the end, but let's just do it.
Amazing. Right, thank you very much for joining us. And yeah, as quite rightly said, up the Reds, and hopefully, you know, we'll be back top of the league tomorrow, boys. Even if we take a point. All right, so we will be back at the top of the table hopefully tomorrow, but hopefully we'll have 3 points to add, and we won't be taking just one. All the best, guys. Thank you so much, and see you another time. Take care. Bye bye.